everyone, welcome to HW News. This is Miyanti. We are almost a week into this 21-day lockdown that has been imposed by the government. While it is important for flattening the curve and breaking the chain of transmission of coronavirus, one thing that is less talked about these days is how it is going to impact the mental health of people across the country. It can be anxiety inducing, it can be panic inducing, it can be triggering for some people. Social distancing and the isolation, it can be difficult for people. So today we are going to ask all the questions related to mental health to Dr. Kersi Chavda, who is a consultant psychiatrist at Hinduja Hospital in Mumbai. So let us hear directly from the expert what he says about the mental health and how to maintain your mental health during this lockdown period.
Well, there's no getting away from the fact that mental illnesses anyway are underreported, even though they are a lot in the country. Given the fact that we are staying in an absolutely unnatural state of affairs, it's not surprising that there seems to be an increase in the amount of cases that we are seeing, because we do know that even if a person has been on the brink, some incredible stressor can kind of topple him over, and then he starts showing obvious manifestations of whatever be the psychological illness. So yes, there does seem to be an increase in the number of cases that we are seeing currently. Well, yes, there is an increase in the amount of cases that I have seen as well. What are the kind of cases that we look at? There are a huge number of cases basically relating to anxiety. There's this fear of what is going to happen, will the lockdown ever end, is there ever going to be a time when we're going to come back to some element of normalcy. Considering a lot of us are stuck at home, and some of us have a lot of people who are stuck at home in one small flat, people start getting irritated with each other, which is not very surprising. The attendant problems related to being confined in a cooped up place also sometimes manifests in a whole bunch of psychological behaviors and symptoms. If a person already had anxiety or he already had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders, very often we find that there's an increase in the manifestations of whatever he has had before. There are episodes of increased depression, and on occasion, there are even times when a person lands up actually having a psychotic breakdown because he cannot cope with whatever is happening. Given the fact that there are a huge number of old people who are also staying alone because their kids are out of the country or in a different city, their problems also seem to be accentuated right now, specifically relating to the fact that they are cut off from everybody. So yes, we're seeing a spike of all of these, and unfortunately it looks like this is only going to increase in the future. Well, the commonest manifestation of anxiety really is a feeling of impending doom. You start thinking that something bad is going to happen. Very often people actually start getting palpitation, a funny feeling in the stomach. If you get panic attacks and you start getting breathless, you start thinking that you're actually going to get a heart attack. There is a heavy feeling in the chest, a kind of a stone feeling in the stomach. You keep running to the toilet. Often there is a feeling that it's the end of time. When you're depressed, then over a period of time you start getting very down, you have no motivation, you don't feel like interacting with people. You have problems related to biological functions like appetite and sleep. In very severe cases, you actually start feeling suicidal or do things to hurt yourself. Obsessive compulsive disorders would include symptoms where you keep doing a particular action over and over again in a very ritualistic fashion. So you would have to hand wash in a particular way or count in a particular way. And all of these things keep increasing. And if you don't give in to the obsession by doing the compulsive behavior, then you'll end up feeling extremely anxious about not doing it and are convinced that that is going to cause irreparable harm. Occasionally there's tremendous aggression related to issues. Occasionally there's a feeling that you're going to be suicidal, that you're going to end the work, that you want to end your life. All of these are the common things that we actually see, the common symptoms that should make you seek help. When we're looking at the older group of people, it's very sad. A huge number of them stay alone because their family or their kids have gone to another country or to another city. They're used to a kind of a routine where they go down in the evenings, maybe sit down, chat with people in the park. They have people popping in to say hello. Maybe they have a food service coming home. And all of that seems to get disrupted now. Just about nobody seems to be really interacting with them. They find they can't go out of the house, so it becomes a very, very major problem for them. Their small circle of friends really seems to be non-existent because just about everybody gets scooped up at home. It becomes a very, very major issue. So yes, the older group of people have major issues that we are seeing, and attempts are being made to help them with their problems. Well, it's really quite true. We do find that with the breakup of the joint family system, people are becoming more and more insular. They're running around, sticking to their jobs, aspiring for the good things in life, and all of that is good. What does then happen is that to some extent there is a detachment of family ties. People are separating in a funny way from each other. It becomes more and more difficult for them, even if they want to keep up with the ties that are so important for enabling a family to bond better than what they might be doing. There was this whole philosophy that now with this enforced lockdown over 21 days, where you're going to be stuck at home, people are going to get closer, they're going to bond better. In some situations it does happen, but given the fact that it's an absolutely unnatural state of events, there are also a huge bunch of cases coming out where the people are getting more and more angry with each other, more and more irritated with each other. If the older person who's there is used to having his son and daughter-in-law or his daughter and son-in-law go out and then come back late at night and suddenly all of them are together, it becomes a problem. If the child is used to having some spare time, some private time to himself where mom and dad are not constantly looking at him, suddenly having everybody together becomes an issue. So yes, this kind of situation can either help in bonding, which does happen, or it can actually cause an increase in the schism in relationships, which becomes then a sad state of affairs. Of course, we find that children are very, very vulnerable at this time. To begin with, they're stuck at home. Very often they can't go out and go to the garden or whatever else they normally would do in order to get rid of some of the energy that they have within them. So that becomes a problem. They also see the elders in the family, mom, dad, caretakers, looking very worried, stocking up on each other, getting irritated with each other, looking at the TV with big, big eyes and getting very upset at what they're hearing. All of this can have a profound effect on them. We do know that kids are really going to get affected, but we know also that they're going to get more affected if they see the people around them getting very badly affected. So it is imperative for adults not to manifest too much of anxiety and depression related to whatever is happening, and to enable the child to know that there is an issue and that of course they still have to keep washing their hands and they're not allowed to go out, etc., etc. But they don't have to get into a panic. They don't have to get into some kind of traumatic situation. It is imperative that we should be aware of the fact that kids are going to respond depending on how they see adults respond. So what are my magic mantras that I'm going to suggest for everybody to do? We have to have a routine. Everybody talks about that. So get up at almost the same time every day. Try to incorporate some physical activity in your routine. Ensure that you eat properly. If you can't manage 3 big meals, have 5 or 6 small ones, but ensure that nutrition is adequate. Hydrate yourself enough with water. Very often we forget to do that. Try to do some chores at home. Help each other as much as is possible. Try not to get into a situation where there is a problem related to the amount of work that you have to do. Try to be positively affirmative as much as you can. Reduce the amount of time that you spend on social media over a period of time. We don't have to spend the whole day looking at the television, it's not going to help us anyway. Ensure that you wash your hands regularly, ensure that you keep social distancing happening. Do whatever you have to do in order to make yourself feel a little more positive. Laugh and joke. Get into a situation where you can bond or interact with people on the social media. Sometimes if you know that you're next to an old person who's all alone, it would be befitting for you to pop in and just find out how the person is. But stay at a socially appropriate distance. Do not go too close to the older person who's more at risk. Try to be nice to people because you'd like people to be nice to you. And finally, do remember that this will pass, but it's how we deal with it which is very important. And hopefully you will deal with it well.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.